I once had a mild confrontation with a coworker over a disagreement that they ended up apologizing for, but then the next day they turned around and pretty much went back to being the same person that they were beforehand, as though that conversation never happened. And it's interactions like that and others where I've noticed people say one thing and then turn around and do something entirely different. Not just when apologizing, but also when, say, expressing gratitude or even making a promise. And that's led me to believe that although the saying actions speak louder than words might be commonly known, it's certainly not commonly understood. So in this video, I want to explain why actions speak louder than words and what that looks like in practice, so we don't have to rely so heavily on words to improve our relationships and prove to ourselves and others who we really are. Now, the main reason actions speak louder than words is because words are easy. They don't require a lot of effort, which in turn means by themselves it's not very valuable because anybody can really say anything. So there's nothing special about you saying any given thing. But also it shows you don't really care that much, because naturally the more you care about something, the more effort you're going to invest in it. In addition, it suggests you might have an ulterior motive, because the reason you say something matters just as much, if not more, than you saying it to begin with. And most of us know that by saying certain things, we stand to reap certain benefits, such as making ourselves look good, earning somebody's trust, or de-escalating conflict. And so it's tempting for us to chase those benefits without actually doing the work to earn them. But the problem is it's not as subtle as you might think. And when people see through that, they're going to have an even worse impression of you than they did to begin with. But above all else, it's important for us to understand what people expect of us. And that's often lost when we say the right things and get a positive response, because it doesn't seem like there's anything left to do. But no coach ever wants to hear their team member say that they're going to run fast and then turn around and run slowly. They want them to run fast. I didn't want my coworker to apologize to me. I wanted them to actually fix the problem that caused us to have that argument in the first place. And so when we start to look at how to make our actions speak louder than words, there are a few things I would suggest that we do. The first of which is to be willing to commit. That is, not just do one thing one time, but be willing to commit to it over a long period of time. And that's much easier said than done, but that's exactly the point. Because like I was saying in the beginning, if it were easy, then it wouldn't mean anything. And so it follows naturally that we have to think before we speak. Because you're essentially making a verbal commitment. So that means, for one, try to actually listen and understand what the other person expects of you and what they're trying to say, and then ask ourselves if we can actually commit to that, to whatever the actions might entail. Because if we're not, then we have to at least try to understand why, and more importantly, be willing to accept the consequences of that. So if, for example, you can't see yourself committing to your partner in a relationship, that you're going to exercise emotional restraint each time you're upset about something and talk things out instead of throwing a temper tantrum, then in understanding why, we might find that we're either lazy or selfish, and in being willing to accept the consequences of that, you'll find that that same courtesy is probably not going to be extended to you. Because you can't reap the benefits of being perceived as a patient person without actually being one. That's what people are going to expect, is that that's the type of person you actually are, instead of just pretending to be one. But on the other hand, if we have determined that we can commit to something, then the last thing, of course, is to actually commit to it, which in my opinion entails at least two different things: discipline and self-accountability. We have to be disciplined enough to uphold our commitments and resist temptation even when it's not convenient for us. And we have to be accountable enough to accept responsibility whenever we do fail to uphold our commitments, instead of trying to blame something else or somebody else. Because in doing so, we've at least identified the cause of the problem, which is the first step to solving it. Now, we can even use personal commitments as an example of this. So if, for example, you say that you want to improve your health and fitness, and you commit to going to the gym every day and improving your diet, then you have to be disciplined enough to say no to the extra calories, even when you feel like you're starving, not just when you're full. And you have to be accountable enough to admit when you say skip a gym day, and respond to it by saying, hey, that was nobody else's fault but mine, but I'm going to fix that by not allowing myself to skip another gym day for the next couple weeks or something like that. So if ever you want to say something important, then don't forget to think before you speak. And if you do decide to go ahead and say it, don't just stop there. Instead, commit to it with your actions over time. Because if you can't do that, then not only is no one else going to take you seriously, but you also can't really take yourself seriously at the same time. So hope this was insightful for you. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.